Also, one other cool thing about the Sophie Shawl is if you roll it up, you get a croissant. It's a Sophie Shawl croissant. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kristen. I'm the maker behind this little corner of the internet. I live in Denver, Colorado with my family. I'm a military spouse, and like I said, this is my little corner of the internet where I share with you what I've been making over the last month. So today's video is episode 73 of my podcast. It is our November 2024 recap where I'm going to share with you all the things I finished over the last month, what I still have on my needles, and then my plans for December. So as always, if you'd like to follow me other places, I am DoSo Knits here on YouTube, Instagram, and Ravelry. And then down in the description box are links to all the things I talk about. I have my social links. I have chapters for these podcasts so that you can jump around, see what I'm going to be talking about. And then on my Ravelry project pages, I also link to the podcast that I talk about specific projects. So if you ever wanted to follow a project from cast on to bind off in the videos, you can do that from those Ravelry project pages. Before we dive into the finished objects for this month, I do have a little bit of admin here at the beginning, and that is to thank our sponsor, Ana Luisa, for sponsoring today's video. Ana Luisa is a jewelry brand that I actually found out about from other YouTube videos. So Ana Luisa sells hyperallergenic, waterproof, high quality jewelry that's at an affordable price. So I am someone that is super sensitive to jewelry. If I wear jewelry that's not super high quality, the inside of my ears, the piercings, they will start to itch. And so I had heard Ana Luisa on other podcasts, and they have become my go-to jewelry brand. So when Ana Luisa reached out and asked if I would like to partner with them for today's video, I absolutely said yes. They have a 2-year warranty on all of their jewelry, and in the US, they have free US shipping. So for today's video, Ana Luisa did send me a couple of items. They sent me these twist earrings, the twist huggy hoops, and then actually these second studs in my ear are the Val white set, which is jewelry that Shane had previously bought me. And then I am wearing the Sam pendant necklace. So I've loved all the jewelry I've gotten from Ana Luisa. I love a hoop and then stud pairing. It's been my go-to since I got my second piercings. And I feel like my jewelry, just having this in, make me look put together even on days where I'm not trying really hard. So I wanted to show you a little bit the packaging that Ana Luisa sent me, because one thing that I really care about is not getting a ton of plastic packaging when I order stuff, and that is one thing that I've loved about Ana Luisa. Everything comes ready. There's no excess packaging, but it's also kind of pre-packaged so that if you do want to get these for a holiday gift for someone, you really don't have to do any additional wrapping, which is really good considering usually that wrapping just gets thrown away. There's no plastic to recycle, and everything in here is either cardboard, which is recyclable, or reusable. Ana Luisa is having a holiday sale. I have a link down in my description box if you would like to check out their holiday sale. If you have some jewelry that you would like to gift to someone else, it's a great gift because of the affordable prices, and the jewelry literally lasts for years. Or if you're like me, what I do is I usually make a wish list on their website. You can make a quick wish list, and then I send that wish list to Shane, and then Shane usually buys me my jewelry. As I mentioned, there's a link down in the description box if you'd like to check out Ana Luisa's holiday sale. I highly recommend them. Thank you, Ana Luisa, for sending me these pieces and being a partner on today's video. I'm so excited. So I hope you guys will check them out and see if there's any pieces that you would like as well. So the first finished object that I have to share with you guys today is my Grid Gambit, which I was test knitting for Samantha Guerin. And here is the finished bandana KAL. I'm so excited about this. So this was a super quick knit. I could have knit it quicker than I did, but I would just pick it up and work on it a little bit each day, and it was so fun to work on. So the two colors that I used are Stress Knits DK in Mountain Mama. That is the background green. And then the contrast color throughout is some Handspun that I made. It's Into the World, the colorway Auto Magically, and that was one of my Handspuns that I had made this year. Let me show you. So I think this project is a great stash buster because you only need 2 skeins. You need 1 skein of your background color. So this is all that I have left of my Stress Knits DK. I used about 101 grams of this. It was a 115 gram skein total. So usually you should be okay with the DK weight. You'll get that covered. And then for the contrast color, I used 64 grams of Handspun, which I find to be a very, I don't know, I find it surprising that I use such a difference between my main color and my contrast color, but maybe we just use a little bit more with the increases with that main color. But it was so fun to do. So the pattern is just made with slip stitches. So for the main color, you do some stockinette, and then for the contrast color, you do slip stitches and then garter. So there is a little texture on these, but that makes it really fun to do. I do have a photo of like what it looks like before it's seamed up. I did block it to the specific measurement so that it would fit well, and then after you block it, you seam up the back with mattress stitch. I am so proud of this mattress stitch. I think it looks so clean, and I'm going to thank Samantha for that because the way that she has you finish the edge stitches made it super easy to like follow where I was supposed to go in and then seam this up. Usually I have a little bit of struggle, but like I said, I think the way that she has you finish those edge stitches, it made it really easy to know how and where to seam it up. Also, all the other edges that aren't seamed, like this top has a 2-color I-cord, and then so does the bottom. And then you bind off in a 2-color I-cord as well. So then it's nice and seamless all the way around the bottom. It's an I-cord. And then when you put it on, this is what it looks like. I love a bandana cowl because this is like all you have to do to style it. I am definitely like a low fuss styling person. I don't spend a lot of time like figuring out the fashion side of things. So the fact that I can just throw this on, it's ready, I can throw a coat on, we're good to go. I think it's nice because this one, it's not too wide, so it stays up pretty high, and like my complete neck all the way around is covered, which is really nice since I decided to keep my hair short, and I think it just pulls together an outfit. I love it so much. And yeah, I really don't have any, notes on the pattern. I completely followed Sam's pattern to the T. I didn't make any modifications. It is written and charted, so I did end up using most of the charts once I figured out, what was happening and what color was what. It's really easy to follow, and really the only reason I was using the chart was just so I would know when to stop increasing and to start decreasing. Otherwise the pattern is really easy to read. It is such a fun knit. And Sam also has notes in the pattern. If you didn't have like a full skein contrast color, she has notes of like how you could use DK scraps. So you could use fingering weight held double, and then you can kind of use stripes for all these different sections with your fingering weight or DK weight leftovers to get, a more scrappy version. So I really love this pattern. Thank you, Samantha, for letting me test it. I will definitely be making more of these. I love finding projects now that I can use some more of my Handspun because it is You know, it's still a work in progress. It's still not 100% consistent, but when I compare it with another skein of yarn, it really helps, you know, keep everything even. And I'm really proud of how this looks. I think it's really cool, the color variation that I had. And I will say, I know other people have said this, but as you knit with some of your hand spun, a lot of those inconsistencies that you see when you're spinning it kind of just blend into the fabric. But this was a really nice hand spun. This is how much of it I have left. So maybe I'll put it in like a contrast in a hat, because I really love this color. There are like these random like bright blips, more peachy, but mostly it's this like bluey fun color. So yes, this is my grid Gambit, which I test knit for Samantha. It's a bandana KAL, DK weight. I love it. So that is finished object number 1. My next finished object is one you've seen a couple times, but I'm so excited this is off my needles. So this is a Sophie Shawl by Petite Knit that I was knitting for Shane's mom, and I have finished it. Ta-da! So I was knitting this for Shane's mom out of some yarn that she picked out from when we went to Wisconsin Sheep and Wool. It was a DK weight yarn. It was Bumblebee Acres Squishy DK in the name Mrs. Weasley's Knits. And so it was a highly variegated yarn, as you can see. So she picked out the yarn, I picked out the pattern with her to like verify that she would like it. And then it's just a super easy scarf. I've knit one before, but you know, I just increased with the DK until I was about halfway through the yarn. I stopped when I had about 90 or 10 grams of the first skein left. So I had used about 90 grams total, and then I started my decreases so that way I wouldn't run out. And then that's all it is. So it's just garter stitch pattern. It is cool on like both the sides about here. We had a change in pooling, so that just, you know, as you hit a certain stitch counts, the yarns can do different things. So I think that's pretty cool that it happened on both sides. And they're both a little different, but still pretty cool. But overall, it's an easy scarf. It's done. I still need to block it. I made modifications of that. I just increased until I was about halfway, started decreasing. I didn't follow a specific, you know, number of increases in the pattern. But I think it drapes really nicely. This is a superwash yarn, so I do expect it to grow just a bit once I wash it today. But I finished this yesterday and I didn't want to wash it today and then it still be drying and then not be able to show you, so I figured I'll wash it after I record. This is what it looks like. I think all the colors kind of, it's really busy kind of when you look at the shawl just like as itself, but like sitting here, I think it looks really nice. The colors kind of all blend together. I think they are very reminiscent of Mrs. Weasley's knits, and I think that's a cool colorway. I personally love the Sophie Shawl that I have. I think it is a very great length to just throw on. It's not too long, so you don't have to fuss with it. And like I literally did one wrap around, my two ends are here, and it's done. It's not gonna like fall off my shoulders. I don't have to like wrap it multiple times. So this is definitely a go-to. I definitely could see myself making more. It's a great gift knit because it's just garter, and then you just have to focus on some increases every now and then. Overall, I used 193 grams for the two skeins because like I said, I increased until I was about 90 grams in. I had about 10 grams left, and this is what I have left. After all the decreases and I've bound off, I have this much left. It's about 12 grams. So I probably could have done one or two more increases before I started my decreases, but I'd rather play it safe. I still think it's a great length, and like I said, once I block it, it's definitely going to grow. So I've already sent a photo to Shane's mom, so she knows it's done, but I'm excited that I have finished it for November because now I can block it mail it out to her. She can have it for Christmas, for the cold winter for her, and then I can focus on other things during December. But this was a fun knit. I would definitely make the Sophie Shawl again. It's such an easy pattern. So that is that. Also, one other cool thing about the Sophie Shawl is if you roll it up, you get a croissant. It's a Sophie Shawl croissant. Alrighty, so another finished object that I have was just something I had started. It was something that I had started and shown in the last episode, but I have now finished it. So these are a pair of vanilla socks that I was knitting for Shane, and they are now done. So this yarn might look very familiar, and that is because I finished a pair of socks for myself in this same colorway from Woolens and Nosh. It is Free to a Good Home, A Friendly Rooster. It is one of their monthly club colorways, and I loved this colorway so much that I immediately cast on, and I wanted to use the leftovers for a pair of socks for Shane. So what I ended up doing is I split what I had left in half into 2 separate balls, and I started knitting these toe up. You can see here that they did not start at the same spot because I did not try to, because I wanted to maximize the amount of yarn I had. I then just knit them toe up. I did a shadow wrap heel in the contrast color, and then I knit until I ran out of my main colors. So for both of those, it ended up being about 3 colors on the leg, and we went to see the Wicked movie, which was so good. So good, I want to see it again. But I basically did the 3 legs on the one, and then, or the 3 stripes on the one leg, and then the 3 stripes on the other leg. And then I started on using the contrast color for this top bit. And that's where I knit during the movie. We were at the Alamo, so it's nice because they have like little lights, because the Alamo you can order food, so they have menus, so they have little lights so that you can like read the menu during the movie. So I would like go under and I'd like look at the knitting in the light. I'd be like, okay, I think. So I was really struggling like knowing how tall to make these, because I really just wanted to maximize it. So then I like switched to the other one, and then, you know, I basically knit throughout the movie until I was close to being done. And so what I ended up deciding to do, so I decided to do a folded over cuff for Shane, because I thought I could get a little more. There are a couple of reasons. One, I started doing ribbing on the one. I had actually done the ribbing bound off, and then I started doing the ribbing on this one, or whichever one, the second one, and I counted the number of rows total. So I was doing like 40 rows from the heel, and then I did 5 rounds of ribbing. And so when I moved to the second one, I did 40 rounds and then 5 rounds of ribbing. I didn't have enough yarn left to do the 5 rounds of ribbing. So I ripped it out, the ribbing, and I started again. So I did 40 rounds of leg, and then I switched to do the inside of the heel. So on the insides of the folded cuff, you can see I have a little more striping yarn on both of these. And that is because when I did mine, I did start the first stripe at the same stripe. So I had 4 stripes that I had ripped out and put into a little ball that I was still having in my bag. So what I did is I knit the legs. So I did the 3 stripes, and then I knit the contrast color until I was at 40 rounds. And then I grabbed my little scrap of the self-striping and knit 2 stripes for the inside of the folded cuff. And I did the same thing on the second one. So 40 rounds and then 2 stripes of the contrast, or the stripes. And then what I did, I don't like binding off, like where you pick up a stitch and then knit them together. So I bound off using, I just did a sewn bind off, and then I tacked down the inside. So I just whip stitched it around. I made sure that, you know, no contrast color showed. And so Shane has 2 folded cuffs. Because I did think about potentially doing the stripes as like the ribbing, but then it would be like stripe, big purple section, and then 2 more stripes. I didn't want to do that. So the stripes are just on the inside. These are going to be like ankle-y socks, I guess. I'm a little concerned if he's going to like the length of these. So we'll see. I really just wanted to use up all the yarn. I'm very happy about that. Literally after finishing these and using those extra stripings for the inside, this is all I have left. This is the little bit of the contrast color that I have left after knitting 2 pairs of socks. So I'm pretty proud about that. I love how these look. I think the big cuff at the top is kind of cool. Realizing how much contrast color I had left, I could have done the toe and the heel, and then the leg would have, you know, the stripes would have gone up a little higher. However many, so it would have been like 3 more stripes. But I think it's okay. I'm excited about these, so hopefully they're a good length. I also need to block these. Honestly, I probably won't block them. I'll probably just take the photo and give these to him. And hopefully it's a decent length. So that's my 3rd finished object for November. Alright, so I have 1 more finished object. It's not knitting, but it is spinning. So I did finish 2 skeins of yarn. And here they are. Oh, they're so pretty. I love this color. I think I did a good job. So this is fiber that I picked up from Apothefaery Fabrications. I got this earlier this year at the Interweave Yarn Festival. I got 8 ounces of fiber, and it is 100% Montana Corriedale wool. I don't know the exact name of the color because it's not written on the tag. But what I did is I did these as a 2-ply. I originally had split it to do a 3-ply, and then based on how my thickness was looking, I decided to do a 2-ply. So I originally had split it to do a fractal. I don't know if it's still a fractal because of how I resplit it to be a 2-ply. It's probably not. So it's basically just a 2-ply, long strips. I still have to get the final like weight and yardage and everything. I did the plying, I've washed them, they're dry. So now I just need to get the final measurements. Looking at it, I think it's anywhere between a probably sport to DK, looking at the thickness of the yarn, which is why I ended up not doing a 3-ply because I don't want it. I like my Handspun to be within that worsted to DK range because then I, 1, get more yardage, and 2, it's very similar to like dyeing the wool then, and I think it's easier to use in patterns. But I have 200 grams. Like I said, I think it's about a DK to sport, but I'll get all the finished measurements. But this was a fun spin. I did, I spun the singles on my Lendrum double treadle, and then I did the plying. I had like a craft day with some friends, and so I took the plying to that because plying can be kind of boring when you do it by yourself because it doesn't take a ton of thought, and with 8 ounces I had a lot to get through, so that was fun. I just took my Ashford e-spinner and then I just plied all the singles together, and it was nice because it was a craft day and we were just chatting, and it was nice because I could stop, pick it up, put it down, but made it go by a little faster than, me doing it by myself. So that is the other thing I have finished. Some Handspun from Apothefaery Fabrications. So with all of that, those are all of my November finished objects. I feel like I've finished quite a few things, and it feels really nice because I'm going to be going into December with not a ton of works in progress, which will be nice for starting some new things. It's nice to been kind of in a clear off the needles kind of vibe. And so this has been really nice. But we'll go over my November stash stats here. So in November, I got out 22 skeins of yarn, and I only brought in 2 skeins of yarn. And both of those 2 skeins are my advents for December. So I'll talk about those in a little bit later for future knitting. But that means for the month, I got out 20 skeins of yarn, and year to date, I'm at a negative 53 skeins. So that is very exciting. That means I'm on track to finish December with less yarn in my stash than what I started the year with, which is the ultimate goal, which is very exciting. Gram-wise, I used 1,282 grams. I brought in 220 grams for those advent calendars, which means for the month I got out 1,062 grams, so that's like a whole kilo of yarn. And then year to date, I'm at a negative 938 grams. So both my skeins and grams for the year are a negative amount, which is very exciting. Very exciting. So those are the November stats. And so we will then move into what I currently am working on, which is not a ton. Yeah, let's move into my works in progress. So I think we'll just stay on the spinning train for a little bit. So after I finished applying that Apothefaery Fabrications, I then started a new spin. I've really been enjoying lately kind of ending my day with spinning. I've kind of started like I'll stop watching TV, I'll put on my audiobook, and I'll spin up until like I'm ready to go to bed. And that's been like a really nice way to like wind down for the day. So I've gotten through a decent amount of spinning. So I did start a new spin, and this is using my Into the World October 24 club. And this was the colorway, it was Crown of Jack McLantern. So it is a gray Corriedale. I intended to do this as a 2-ply, so I split them in half. One half, let me think. One half I just split, so I split it down the middle lengthwise, and then I split one half in 2, and then I split the other half in 4. So I do plan to try to do a little bit of a fractal. So this is on a gray Corriedale base. You can see there's like a heather throughout. I think that's really gorgeous. So it's like these moody oranges, blacks, and grays. I think it's really cool. I think it's going to, I don't know, I'm excited to see how this looks in the end. So I spun this completely on my e-spinner. I have an Ashford e-spinner, and then they've been sitting here for a few days, so they're ready to ply. I need to do that. I'll probably do it today or tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I tried to spin like my default yarn, so hopefully it ends up being about a sport or a DK. And like I mentioned, I listened to this, or spun this mostly while listening to audiobooks. I was listening mostly to like Darling Girls, which was an audiobook. That was a very good audiobook. It's like a thriller. I really enjoyed it. So it helps when it's a book I really like, because then I want to listen to it more, which then equates to more spinning. So this is 4 ounces from Into the World. It's ready to get plied together and finished up. I just haven't had a moment to start on it because I've been trying to wrap up some of those knitting projects before the end of the month. So that's work in progress number 1. So the next work in progress that I have is in this Christmas Cats bag from Stamsund Mittens, because this is a gift knit. So these are the Stamsund Mittens by Simone Bechtold. These are broken rib fingerless mitts. It's written for sport weight yarn. And I started these because it's going to be a gift for someone for Christmas. And I was kind of scrolling through. I wanted something that wasn't going to be like super intricate, but had a little bit of interest. And I really liked how these looked. Plus, I figured the person would like blue. And I had leftover yarn from Shane's Traveler hoodie, like a ton of it. So I pulled out a couple skeins of the Wool of the Andes Sport Weight in the Solstice Heather. So leftovers from Shane's Traveler hoodie. And I started working on these mittens. And so these are probably going to be done today. And they're going to be gifted. So you probably won't see the finished object next month. So this is, you'll have to, you know, sorry. But I really tried to finish them for today. But it didn't happen. So these are the Stamsund Mittens. I have finished the first one. So it's this really gorgeous broken rib all over. You start with a little 1x1 ribbing at the bottom, you know, knit the cuff, separate for the thumb, and then it's a little 1x1 ribbing on the top and the thumb. I did do a tubular bind off for both the thumb and the top of the mitt. It does call for a tubular cast on, and like looking at my finish edges, I kind of wish I would have done the tubular cast on, but I just did a German twisted cast on. But I figured that isn't going to get looked at as much, so it's probably fine. These are sport weight. I did the adult large size because these are going to a person with much larger hands than I. But since they're ribbing, they're very stretchy. Even though these are adult large, like they fit me. But like you can tell there's some extra fabric for me, so I think I've had Shane try them on. They fit him well. So I'm excited with the length and how they look. Sorry, I feel like the camera is not getting the detail of these. But I think they just look really classic. And since it's a non-superwash, they should be pretty warm. I did weigh this glove, and it used about 34 grams of yarn. So this is a good one skein project. Well, the Andes is 50 grams, so I have to use 2, but you know. It's good. Stash buster. I have really enjoyed knitting these because you just alternate rounds of knitting, and then the broken ribbing is just like knit one, purl one. I find the way that the thumb gusset is written in this pattern to be very interesting because you can see like it continues all the way up. So normally I think in mittens what you do is you end up increasing on the thumb side to like, you know, have it like protrude out. But this one's kind of nice because it like sets the markers and you increase on the palm side. So then this continues up through the thumb and you increase on the palm. I found that very cool and I think it looks really nice. So I was able to knit the first mitten over like 2 days. And then I started mitten 2 yesterday, and I'm on the top ribbing here, and then I will just have to go back and pick up the thumb, do the ribbing, and then bind off. So these will be done today, but they're not a finished object yet. So like I mentioned, probably won't see these next month, but I've highly enjoyed this pattern. I think it's written very well. It's got a small, medium, and large size for the sport weight yarn. As you can see, I am doing them magic loop, and I did go down a needle size. It calls for a 2.5, 3 millimeter. I'm using a US 2.75 millimeter. So I didn't swatch, but I know I'm a loose litter. And a 1/4 of a millimeter I don't think is going to make a huge difference. But the main reason I went down is because I don't have a US 2.5 with the longer tips. And I wanted longer tips for the purling. But yeah, these have been quite a lovely knit. I will be making more of these in sport weight yarn. I think they're not the most mindless mittens because you do, you know, there's knitting rounds and there's ribbing rounds, but I think the final product is really, really nice. So those are my Stamsund Mittens that are going to be a gift. You probably won't see them again, but they've been lovely to work on. So that's my first work in progress. All right, my last work in progress is something I showed last time, and this is my Staffin Cardigan, which I am test knitting for Rebecca Clow or the Crea Bea. I haven't done a ton on this because I've been focusing on finishing what I could in November, so I'm not going to spend too long on it, but next time this should hopefully be a finished object. So since last time, I have gone from where this little Simply Serving pumpkin is, and it looks like I've done one ribbing repeat. I have separated for the sleeves and joined it, you know, back and forth. I've made sure all my patterns all the way around continue well. And yeah, that's basically all I can share with you. So I'm using Lion Brand's Fisherman's Wool. I have started using my second skein. It is the color Oatmeal 123. And yeah, it's knit on very large needles, and so it does grow very quickly. I'm using a US 9. And like I said, now that I've finished a lot of those other works in progress, and I plan to finish those mittens today, this will probably be like my main project carrying over from November into December. So I find that very exciting. So this is probably going to be my garment focus for November, because Advent-wise, those are going to be small projects. And so this will be my main like at-home focused knitting. It is really fun to do. It's mostly just knit and purl patterns. You know, it makes this beautiful diamond. The ribbing is really nice. I do switch between needles. So for the ribbing, I use a US 8. For the rest of the texture, I use the US 9. I think that's right. Or do I go up for the ribbing? Correct. I use the US 8 for the ribbing and a US 9 for the rest. So it's just living in a Joy in the Stitches bag. It works really well. I love that it has this outside pocket. And yeah, I think this will be a really nice cardigan. I think it'll be a really beautiful neutral. It smells really sheepy. It grows really quickly. I just need to actually need to dedicate some time to it in December, which I will, because I plan to have this as like my main garment. So that's this. I've separated for the sleeves. Hopefully you'll see a little bit more over the next month. And with that, we'll move into my future knitting plans, and that will kind of go into what I have planned for December as well, video-wise. So if you're interested in that, stick around for the next segment. Alrighty, so future knitting is also going to be a little bit of acquisitions, because I'm going to be talking about my Advent skeins and kind of my plans for December. So I did order the Woolens and Nosh Advent. It also comes with this mini skein. It is on the Targi fingering base. I have looked at this a little, and so this is my first Advent skein. I'm collecting my thoughts. I also got the Cozy Knitter Advent, and I haven't opened it yet. So what I am planning to do with these Advents for this one, because it comes in this little bag, the little ends come out, but I was able to look at it, and I watched Michelle's, you know, she did a YouTube video talking about the Advents, the different things that you could do. And while I was watching that, she showed like muscle burras and like the everyday slouchy hat. And I really wanted to do that. Because what I'm planning to do with the Cozy Knitter, I'm planning to do socks with these. I'm planning to do socks for myself. I'm going to do cuff down. I'm going to do one stripe a day. That's the plan. So these will be kind of a long-term, throughout the month project. So for this one, I didn't really want 2 sets of socks going this year for some reason. So what I asked Shane is I had him peek. I was like, look at the colors, see what you think. You know, this is like the color that's in between all the stripes. And she said in her live, you know, they're pretty bright. And Shane has a muscle bra, and when we go rock climbing, he usually wears that. And so I was thinking we could do a similar thing here, make a striped muscle bra, and then he can have a secondary hat for when we go rock climbing. So that is what I'm doing with this Woolens and Nosh. So I'm planning to start on December 1st, doing a muscle bra. My plan is essentially to do 2 stripes a day so that hopefully I can finish, because it's going to be, you know, it's 48 stripes total. But this one, since it's going to be a muscle bra and I won't have much other mindless knitting unless I start another pair of socks or something else, I might not stick to the stripe a day on this. I may just have it as my normal go-to project, but we will see. So that is that. With those ideas, I did want to say I am planning to do Vlogmas this year. When this video goes out, there should already be a few Vlogmases, so feel free to go check those out. I'll dive into a little bit more about these projects, but if you're interested, feel free to check those out. In a nutshell, I'm planning to not post every day because 1, that's too much for me to edit. 2, I'm not that interesting. We don't do that much outside of the house. And 3, I already feel like there's so many Vlogmases that happen. It can be really hard to keep up with everyone that's posting every day. So I figure if I post every 3 days, that gives you 8 episodes over the month, and hopefully you can watch them when they come out and not feel like overwhelmed with trying to keep up with things every day, because we just want December to be chill. So that's kind of my plan. Feel free to watch those. I'll have it linked up here if you want. So those are my Advent skeins. I feel very like today. Other future knitting. I plan to knit Shane a pair of fingerless mitts. This is yarn that he picked out at Wisconsin Sheep and Wool. When we were there, he was like, I want fingerless mitts because it's cold. I want something for when I walk the dog. And so he picked out this yarn. This is from Round Barn Fiber Mill. They're from Durand, Illinois. This is a Romney 2-ply worsted weight. It's just a really gorgeous brown. It's really nice and soft. Romney's a lovely, it'll be a nice workhorse fingerless mitt. So he specifically wanted fingerless mitts that had the flip top. So I'm probably going to do the Tinsel Mitts by Andrea Mallory because they are sized from baby to adult. They have both either the end the thumb option or the full thumb and the flip top. So that's what this is going to be. Once I finish these other fingerless mitts that are a gift, I should be starting Shane's fingerless mitts. Technically, the Tinsel Mitts is written as a DK weight pattern, and this is a worsted weight yarn, but I know I can make it work. I'll either go down if I can't hit gauge, you know, like if I can't hit gauge, I'll probably knit a smaller size because my gauge will probably be a little bit bigger. So that is the plan. I'm excited to get this going. It's a really lofty yarn. So that is future plan number 2. And then this is a maybe. Future plan number 3 is using this Lucky Tweed. And this kind of depends on how my knitting goes throughout the month, because both the Advents are going to be small bite-sized pieces every day. These fingerless mitts I think are going to go pretty quickly, and then I'll have just that cardigan, which I can't really take on the go. So what I was thinking is I had bought this Lucky Tweed in the color Rust last year to do a Miles shirt jacket by Ozetta. And what I was thinking is if I do need something that is stockinette in the round, this would be a very good project, because what I would plan to do is instead of doing it as a cardigan knit back and forth, I'd plan to steek it. That way I can knit it all the way around and then I can cut it up at the end. Because it is a very long cardigan. It's essentially a jacket. It'd be a lot of purling. And I kind of need a project that's in the round. I mean, I will have that muscle burrow, but if I decide to do the stripes, I won't really have much meeting knitting this month. Unless I start like a pair of socks like I mentioned, or I could start like a garment that's mostly knit in the round. So I was thinking I could start this, swatch it up. I could get like all the shaping done and then get it ready to steek in the round, because then it will just be tons of stockinette in the round. So this is like a maybe cast on for December. I really like the color. It's very similar to kind of this color that I'm wearing today. I was a little worried. I was like, maybe it's too orange, but I think it is like a nice brown, orangey, rusty brown. And I think because it's woolen spun, it'd be a really nice project to start this month. So when I cake this up, I have a lot of caking up to do. I had to cake up my advents. Probably cake up both of these. I want to swatch with this to see how it goes. And maybe I was watching the Yarnia podcast and they had mentioned steeking, and Mark Vogel from Maker Mark Knits, he had mentioned a cardigan that he decided to steek, and I was like, that is what I should do for the metal shirt jacket. Like, I should just steek it instead of knitting it flat. Steeking just sounds like a much better option. So that is that. That's my future knitting plans. I also have like a few more accessories that I'll probably throw in there, but overall that's basically all that I have. So I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you've put a little bit of love into every stitch of your making. As a reminder, Ana Luisa is doing a holiday sale right now, so please, if you are interested at all, use my link, check them out, see if there's anything you want for yourself that you can ask for or give a gift for someone else. I hope you guys have a great December. If you're interested in Vlogmas, I hope you'll spend a little time with me as I make those this month. And if you have any suggestions for things that you'd like to see in Vlogmas videos, please let me know. Let me know in the comments down below. And with all that, I'll see you guys for Vlogmas, or I'll see you at the beginning of the new year for my December wrap up. So thank you for hanging out with me. I'll see you guys again very soon.